们毕竟还同样，明白这意思吧？我告诉你们，我是身经百战，接着多了 too simple， 啊 ，sometimes naive。人生的经历，中国有句话叫闷声大发财，我就俗话讲，这是最好的。
China is the most populated country on the planet. The cradle of the burgeoning transplant factory over the past decade. However, more reports have emerged. Most of the organs for transplants in the country do not come from the official death row inmates and a donation from citizens, but those innocent who are killed on demand. The investigators around the world are unearthing new evidence about the true nature and the scale of the Communist Party's organ harvesting. June 22, 2016, the three international independent investigators jointly released a 680-page report.
China, to my knowledge, is the only country in the world where the government-run industrial program kills people and sells their organs.
Endless hospitals in here. We go into them in great detail. We're talking about an enlarged hospital, endless amounts of transplant surgeons and transplant teams.
I was really surprised how high the number was. I mean, as I say, it's multiple between 6 and 10 of the official figures.
Organ transplant have been constantly included in the country's 5-year plan and have become a top priority in the China national strategy. A large number of research and training programs for organ transplantation are funded by the major national programs and funds. On an archival website of the International Transplant China Network Support Center, investigators found a list of the transplant prices offered to the foreigners.
It was bringing in about $9 or $10 billion a year. This industrial transplant operation going on across China now. It's a lot of money. A lot of hospitals are financing a lot of their activities through that.
They're watched very, very closely indeed by the top leadership, so they're fully aware of this, as well as the fact that Wang Lijun, one of the Bo Xilai, who was a contender for the Chinese presidency, this was his right-hand man. He was the most famous policeman in all of China. Here he is directing organ trafficking. I mean, he had a center which did this. He was given an award for doing this, and specifically for coming up with a new lethal injection method. He did thousands of transplants by his own admission in the award ceremony. He talks about that.
It was back in 2005 when a patient of mine, who has been on the top list of patients for human heart transplantation, came to me one day and told me that he was told by his insurance company, his Israeli insurance company, to go to China in 2 weeks' time as he was scheduled to undergo heart transplantation. And when I asked him how come such a surgery can be scheduled ahead of time, you know, somebody has to die on the very day of the operation, he said he didn't know, and he went to China and got his heart transplantation exactly on the date that he was promised.
A hospital in southwest China that claims to be the donor recipient. If it doesn't work it out, they will keep finding one until it is successful, he promised. In 2006, a surgeon at the Hospital of Traditional Chinese Medicine Organ Transplant Center published a study of 50 patients who had received 2, 3, or 4 kidneys transplants. How can doctors kill people to transplant organs from living people when they should be saving lives? Todi is raised and educated in China. He's a surgeon. Currently, he and his family lives in London, England. In 1995, he was asked to remove organs from prisoners who were still alive.
They made you disabled to think yourself. My whole body just became a robot, just performed to do what I have been programmed to do. So anybody, if they label it themselves other than Communist Party or member, then they will be treated as an enemy of the state. Therefore, they are not even qualified as human beings, and therefore they are subject to whatever punishment is available. They made you genuinely believe what you are doing is for a good cause. It is little later I realized I shortened this man's life. That is equal to a killer. I killed him. This thing is haunting me. I have to tell the world to release the things inside my heart.
李友换了几次肝，杀了好几个人。江绵恒换了5个，杀了5个人。
On September 6th and 16th, 2017, Guo Wengui, a whistleblower, had a live broadcast about how previous President Jiang Zemin and his son Jiang Mianheng and Meng Jianzhu, the member of the Chinese Communist Party, received the new kidneys from some of China's most well-known surgeons. One of those surgeons, Li Baochun, was the director of the kidney department of medicine at Shanghai Military Hospital, an expert in kidney transplants. The other was Li Leishi, deputy director of the Nanjing Military Command and a renowned kidney transplant specialist. In 2007, Li Baochun jumped to his death from 12th story of his hospital kidney transplant building. 3 years later, Li Leishi jumped to his death from the 14th story of his apartment building. One of the most profound and bizarre allegations against the CCP that Guo has espoused is that it has intentionally downed the Malaysian airline flight MH-370. According to Guo, a number of the family members and insiders linked to China's organs harvesting had fled to Malaysia to avoid being held or executed by CCP wanting to keep them silent. He believes that the plane was remotely piloted or hijacked in some way by the government and made to crash.
I think, Gina, the first thing before you believe or you decide whether or not you want to believe is you have to learn the facts. The facts are there, the books are there, the research is there. Read it. Once you read it, I'm sure there will be no other way for you but to believe it. And we have to, I'm talking about the physician, have all to be together in order to stop it immediately. Until 2005, we didn't have no law. I found out that Israeli insurance companies and HMOs have been providing reimbursement, full reimbursement for these transplant of Israelis who went to China and got these illegal organs. So together with my friends, we sat down with our parliament, the Knesset, and in 2008, the Israeli parliament has enacted the organ transplant law, which totally bans any reimbursement of illegally obtained organ transplantation anywhere around the world. And since then, not a single Israeli patient went anymore to China.
Except Israel, Spain, Italy, and Taiwan have legislated to restrict the use of illegal organs from China.
你对吧？这把我批判一番。是你们啊，拿衣服。好，我跟你讲，你们这样子。